I just think it's so important to know what people are like naturally and how we can best serve and love them and empower them and call them out, call them up, like all of those things. I feel like the Enneagram really gives the space to do that well.
Hey, my feel good friends. Today's episode is oh so exciting for me and for you if you are an Enneagram nerd like I am. If you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you've probably heard me mention the Enneagram quite a few times. It's one of my favorite questions to ask some of my guests as we're getting to know each other. And it's just a really fun personality type test that really allows us to get to know ourselves better as humans, but also get to know each other and communicate in a better way. Let's be honest, you know I'm a nerd for this stuff. And I've actually had 2 episodes about the Enneagram so far with Harmony from Thrive and Grow. They're episode 14 and episode 28. If you want to check them out, I deep dive with Harmony about all the ins and outs of the different numbers of the Enneagram, plus how to use the Enneagram to market your business. But in today's episode, I was lucky enough to chat with Christina Wilcox, who is an Enneagram expert and has recently released a book called Take Care of Your Type, Self-Care for Your Enneagram Number. And it was such a funny story. I actually connected with Christina when I was shopping at a local bookstore with my mom when she came to visit me. And I was like, Mom, I think I really want to buy something fun for myself. I think I want to find a book on the Enneagram because I've been kind of getting into it, learning more about it, all those things. And my mom actually came across Christina's new book on the shelves and I ended up buying it. I shared it to Instagram and guess what? Christina reshared my post and also accepted an interview for this podcast. You know, I was kind of like fangirling a little bit. She's super, super awesome. Shares super helpful content on Instagram. And guess what? She actually has shared another copy of her book, Take Care of Your Type, with me to give away to one lucky Feel Good Social podcast listener. My friends, that is right. This is our first Feel Good Social podcast giveaway, and we are teaming up with Christina to give away a free copy of one of her books. So what you have to do to enter is when you finish listening to this episode, this wonderful conversation with the wonderful Christina, head to my Instagram at Feel Good Social and just comment on today's post. You'll see all of the rules there. This contest is open through February 28th of 2021. So definitely head over there soon. All you have to do is tag 2 friends in the comments, and there's a few ways to get bonus entries if you want as well. But seriously, this book is so awesome. You do not want to miss out on this giveaway. So just head over to my Instagram account at FeelGoodSocial, comment on today's post on February 23rd of 2021. It's basically a photo of the lovely Christina, an audiogram snippet. And just make sure you enter our giveaway before February 28th of 2021. Okay. I cannot wait to share this episode with you. I cannot wait to share this book with you to one lucky winner. So head on over there after you finish listening up. And hey, while you're there, why not share this episode to your Instagram stories? Make sure you tag me at FeelGoodSocial and Christina at Christina S. Wilcox so that we can see it, reshare it, and spread the love right back to you. And by the way, that is one way to get a bonus entry for this book giveaway, okay? So definitely head over there, do that. But for now, I am so excited to share this awesome conversation with Christina Wilcox about the Enneagram, yes, but also so many more awesome things. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Are you ready to easily create social media content that feels on brand and looks beautiful without breaking the bank or wasting your precious time? Our new brand vibe bundles are here, my friend. These digital bundles will give you everything you need to easily show up on social media with cohesive content that feels like your brand. You simply have to choose the bundle that best fits your brand's vibe, and you'll be on your way to posting with ease. Check them out at feelgoodsocial.com/brand vibe bundles. Each of our differently branded bundles includes 80 plus customizable Canva social media templates, 6 Lightroom presets for easy one-click photo editing, 30 in-depth social post prompts, plus a guide to your brand vibe with a description of your vibe's personality, power words, and additional suggested color palettes, font pairings, and graphic elements. I know these bundles are exactly what you've been looking for to finally show up consistently and cohesively on Instagram for your brand without breaking the bank or wasting your precious time. Just head to feelgoodsocial.com/brand vibe bundles and you'll find all the information there. Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for joining us, lady. I am seriously so excited to share you with my audience.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
For sure. My name is Christina, and I run a social media page that is my personal Instagram called Christina Wilcox. And on there, I post a bunch of Enneagram related content, mental health related content, faith related content. And I've been doing that for almost 2 or 3 years now. And I'm married to my best friend, Noah. We got married in 2018 and we're originally from Dallas, but now live in Denver, which is really cool. And yeah, I love Jesus. I'm super passionate about incorporating faith into every aspect of my creative life. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love following you on Instagram and it's just so much fun. I think that especially like the Enneagram or any kind of personality tests or kind of like accounts that share helpful things, it's just so fun to like, I don't know. It's just so relatable and easy to share with other people and people get excited about it. Do you find that too?
Oh yeah. I mean, even how my account grew, it's my personal Instagram account. So like 3 years ago, I had 800 followers and they were just like my friends and family and like people in my town. And when I started posting Enneagram content in 8 weeks, I had 30,000 followers and it was all accidental. There was no crazy strategy or secret. It all just kind of happened because it was relatable and because it was shareable. So totally have found that for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh man, I love this conversation too. And I actually haven't ever really gotten a chance to speak to someone who saw such rapid growth. What was that like? What was that experience of just growing so quickly?
I mean, at first, it was really, really cool. Like I just was flat out so excited. I remember hitting 1,000 followers and I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then I blinked and it was 5,000 and I blinked again and it was 10,000 and it just kept growing. By the time it did get to 30,000, I got really terrified because I obviously I wasn't planning on this. I wasn't prepping for it or expecting / waiting for that growth to happen. And so I kind of had to mentally understand what was going on because it wasn't stopping and it still hasn't stopped. It's definitely slowed down, but I think it just was really crazy because all of a sudden, like, it's weird going from like being, and I still am a normal average person, but like being a normal average person and all of a sudden all these people are listening to you and like no one knows who you are. And then all of a sudden 30,000 people know who you are and then 50,000 and 100,000. And it just like, it was very exciting, but terrifying and surreal.
Yeah. Was it kind of difficult to manage your account then, kind of like getting DMs and stuff like that? Or how did you manage all that stuff?
At the very beginning, it actually was super easy because I was so eager and like, oh my gosh, people are wanting to talk to me and this is just so cool. I have to answer everybody. It wasn't until I hit 100K that it started to be nearly impossible to answer everybody. And I had to accept that, which I'm a pretty I genuinely care about every single person who follows my page. And I feel so bad when I can't answer people because that relational connection is super important to me. But I had to accept that not a bad person if I can't answer everybody. It really will be okay. I've tried to get in the habit of I don't know, praying for the people I can't answer, because if it's for guidance or something that I can't just allocate a ton of energy towards that day, I mean, for me, Jesus is who they need, no matter who they are, or what their background is. And so that's a habit that I've been trying to create. But yeah, it was a lot easier in the beginning than it was now. Cause there's also that initial excitement too of it makes you want to create more when people want to see more. But yeah, it was definitely easier. It used to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I could imagine. And especially going such rapid growth, you're all of a
Yeah.
sudden oh my goodness. And yeah, you're so right. There's that mindset kind of hurdle that you have to overcome where it's I'm not a bad person if I can't answer everyone, and all those things. Did you have any mindset hurdles that you had to overcome when it came to content creation or anything like that? Was it was it a little bit more nerve-wracking to feel like you're in the spotlight more so and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, again, at the beginning, it just was so mind-blowing that there was this level of I didn't really care, which was really cool to have. And I'm trying to get back to currently, because when I started posting about the Enneagram, I was in a place in life where basically my whole upbringing, I'm naturally a people pleaser and would create things to please people, even if I didn't like it or care about it. And the Enneagram was the first thing that I was really into, that a group of people I was surrounded by didn't care about at all, but I still could not stop digging into it. And so there was this level of freedom when I started posting about it. It was really just for me. I did not care about anybody else. And so to see that, I don't know, almost empowerment of seeing people that did love it as much as I do, it was kind of I was finding community and I was creating for them, but also mostly for me. So it started out on a really good foundation of not I'm just doing this for other people. But as it got bigger, like you said, just when you experience such rapid growth, the pressure definitely rises. And so I feel that's more of the hurdle I've had to come up against. And as you know, probably since my account started growing in February of 2019. So yeah, it's almost been 2 years. And at that time, there weren't as many Enneagram accounts out there. Now it's everyone has an Enneagram graphic design account, which is awesome. Not any shade to that at all. But as everyone else started growing too, there became this pressure of I have to create more. I have to be more unique. I have to be more this. And my actual job started to become what I was doing on my Instagram, especially with this opportunity with the book. It just became this is something I have to take a lot more seriously and more professionally. So that's more as not necessarily creative content roadblocks, but just those roadblocks of how do I deal with this pressure? How do I still create for myself? How do I be okay with not keeping up sometimes? How do I be okay with not being the most unique or the best out there? Those are the more roadblocks I've had to deal with since the growth.
Yeah, I feel it always comes back to mindset, no matter what, but I don't know. It's so funny. It is, everyone wants this growth, a lot of people, and I think it's slowly shifting when it comes to social media and stuff like that. But, so many of my monthly management clients and stuff are okay, let's set a followers goal, all these things. And it's okay, we could talk all day about, the kind of logistics of if a giant following is the best for small businesses. But also I'm sometimes if you want to go viral and all of a sudden like have 100,000 followers, it's not as easy to manage. You
Yeah,
know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Did you run into, I know artists run into this a lot where, they become an artist and they create from this place because it's so special to them. But then when it turns into a job, it like there's this
Mm.
weird disconnect and you're like all of a sudden feeling like resentment or something like that. Did you run into that at all with the Enneagram or?
Yeah, I mean, I ran into it relatively recently, actually. Once I was creating content almost full time because right when COVID-19 hit, before I was working a 9 to 5 as well. And I found that having that balance of a 9 to 5 or other things with my account was super helpful because I was able to kind of separate the creativity still. But then when COVID-19 hit, I got laid off because of COVID and I had to like fully dive into this content creation and writing this book. And it was like probably the first 6 months that I was only doing that and trying to survive financially as well. But it definitely came to a point where after I finished the book, I was like, I would be happy if I never saw the word Enneagram again. Like it just, and I'm sure everyone in any field, whether it's writing a book or creating something over and over again that you love, like you just get to a point, no matter how much you love it, of just like, I'm going to lose my mind if I have to keep doing this. And so since then, I have been trying to incorporate healthy boundaries and be okay to like expand what I post about. And because I got sick of the Enneagram, I have found that allowing myself to post about things that I still love, even if it's not the Enneagram, and even if it doesn't like do amazing engagement wise, it's more for, that's the aspect that's for me of like, in order to keep going with this whole Enneagram thing that I have that I still love, I have to still find ways to be creative, even if it's not the most liked post on my feed or the most engaged with posts. It's like creating that balance of what I need and what my audience wants.
Yeah, yes. I love that I'm so glad we're getting into this conversation instead of diving straight into the Enneagram because I
Yeah.
geek out about this stuff too. But as you're kind of like incorporating, I have noticed, some more like personal posts from
Mm-hmm.
you, like storytelling, mental health stuff. Like as you're incorporating that into your content, have you noticed your audience like responding well or like are
Yeah.
they accepting that too?
Yeah, that's the thing is as I've been expanding these personal posts, I found that the people that have been here a really long time and that are here because they like me, which is such a huge concept for content creators to understand, is so many people follow you because of who you are and your personality and because they love you. It's not just, it sincerely isn't just about what you give and put out all the time. And so as I've come to accept that, because I'm an Enneagram 3, so I have a hard time being like, people actually like want me and not this like either version of me I'm putting out on the internet or the content I create or the things that I do. And as I've accepted that people actually want to hear from me or be my friend or enjoy my humor or enjoy my music or enjoy my story in my mental health journey, I found that the people like that I already have in my corner are a lot more engaged in conversations. It's not necessarily the best growth strategy, perhaps, but I think for what I already have and fostering a deeper community, it's been really helpful in that aspect.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And that's what I teach. I have an online course and I work with one-on-one coaching and monthly management
Mm-hmm.
clients. And I think it's like so much more valuable to create a community that feels connected to you on
Mm.
social media because I truly believe that like word of mouth, people's recommendations, like that does so much more to help you like really spread the word of your business. And if you can create this community environment where people can come together and want to support you, it's just like it lasts so much longer. It's just so much better than all of the vanity metrics and all of that stuff
Yeah,
that
for
people are
sure.
so obsessed with.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh man. Okay. Well,
I could talk about so many different things. I think real quick, I would love to just, if you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit of background into your mental health journey personally.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear that. We talk a lot about mental health, mindset, all those things
Yeah.
on the podcast. So I know my audience would be interested.
Yeah, of course. So my story with mental health is very long, so I will condense it, but I have been struggling with OCD since I was 6 years old. I had my first panic attack when I was 7 and had to go to the hospital for it, and had been dealing with reoccurring panic attacks basically my whole life. I can't really remember a time where I didn't have panic attacks or obsessive thoughts, dealing with different compulsions and anxiety issues. And it wasn't until I was 19 that I was really, well, I got properly diagnosed this year, but my first diagnosis was when I was 19. And it was when I found freedom through medication. At the time, I was on medication for like 2 years. And I had grown up believing that medication was a sin and that I needed to pray harder and trust God more and be a better human, and my mental health would go away. Like my issues would go away, my panic attacks would stop. And so I became obsessed with being the best Christian ever. And when I found that no matter how much I tried or did everything right, I still had this thing going on, it was the first time I learned that first there's a level of like spiritual mental issues, emotional mental issues, trauma experiences, and, chemical issues in your brain that aren't your fault. They can be genetic, they can be because of a traumatic event, all of that. And that's when I was kind of introduced to that whole world and started getting into the Enneagram and therapy and trauma healing. And I have had a lot of experiences in the church where mental health hasn't been super accepted or educated about properly, or stereotyped. And I experienced a lot of that personally. And it became, I guess it's kind of cliche. I've heard people say this a lot, but my mess became my message, to where all these broken things I was experiencing and all the things that were broken in me, became the thing that I felt like I was placed on earth to help heal and to help fix and to help bridge the gap. So I still struggle every day. I'm not on medication. I use cognitive behavioral therapy. I use scripture. I use a ton of different coping mechanisms to help. And that's the thing, is it's an everyday battle. You win and you lose. And for some people with mental illness, like it might be that way my whole life or their whole life. And it's become like my greatest mission to create that education and resource within churches, whether that's learning how to take care of yourself and your soul through scripture and through the Enneagram, or whether that's, educating pastors and leaders on how to care for their soul, care for the mental health of the people on their staff, in their congregation, in their wider community, which is why too, I'm currently in grad school to become a licensed therapist, because that's like a really big goal, because I want to be able to, talk the talk, but actually walk the walk of like, no, I am educated to be able to teach you in this. And so, yeah, it's been crazy. The Lord has really used all of the things that I thought were unfixable, flawed, and horrible about me to just create this whole movement with me and him and calling and acceptance with him and myself through this journey. So, yeah.
Oh, lady, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And I think that your message is so, it's like so needed, And so I really appreciate the work you're doing, and congrats on grad school.
Thank
That's so
you.
awesome. Yes.
Yay.
Yay. Oh man. Okay. Well, I would love to chat a little bit about the book and maybe your journey with it. Like, how did
Yeah.
that idea come about? And then like, what was the process like? I'm currently like, a book has been on my to-do list for 6 months now, and I keep kind of
Mm.
pushing it back. So I'm like, okay, this thing first, this thing first. And so I really want to tackle
Mhm.
one. Maybe it might be pushed back to 2022, but I'm so interested in how this came about for you and all the things.
Yeah, it was a utter shock. Like, I know that the way this specific book happened is not how it happens for majority of people. And even in the future, because I want to continue writing books, I've always wanted to be an author. Even in the future, most likely this won't be my experience. Like, it was a very once in a lifetime crazy opportunity that came about. But basically in October of 2019, I got an email from Simon & Schuster that was like, hey, we're looking to write a book about self-care and the Enneagram, and we're kind of going through a few different potential authors. Would you be interested in this? Like, do you want to be an author? And if so, could you fill out this outline and kind of brainstorm how you would tackle this, like what your ideas would be? And they wanted to see some like potential illustrations that could fit within it. And so I was like, what is this doing in my email inbox? At first, I thought it was a scam. Like, I just could not wrap my head around it, but I went for it, obviously, because I was like, yeah, I want to be an author, please. So I did the outline, sent it over, really was holding it with open hands. And they chose me to write the book, which is really cool. And so I started the writing process the end of January. Got a literary agent as well before that, which that's also a crazy story of how I even found a literary agent. But I started writing at the end of January, and my deadline was May. So I had to write 40 to 50,000 words for the first time in my life ever in like 5 months. And then a global pandemic happened, which in a way was a blessing of getting laid off, because I could actually focus on just writing the book, which was cool. I still procrastinated a lot because it was very overwhelming. But yeah, I started the writing process in January, finished the book in May, and then started the revision process over the summer. And that's when the marketing started. And then in December, as we decided in like April of 2020, it just went out into the world.
Oh, I love that so much. What an awesome opportunity. And the book is amazing. I have
thank
two
you.
of them on my desk. I can't wait to give one away to like my
Yay.
listeners and stuff. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, it's so much fun. Did you feel like you already knew most of the information you were writing, or did you have to do like additional research for it and stuff?
Yeah, I did draw from some people on my page of like doing polls and saying, hey, this is for a project. It wasn't like official data research or anything. For the most part, I kind of used the book as a way for me to say everything I've ever wanted to say to any type, because I've had a friend of each type, ranging from really healthy to very not healthy. And so everything that I've either admired about them and how they've taken care of themselves, or everything that I wish I could have said to them of just like, you need to do this, please. I kind of used the book as a personal outlet in a way to get all of that out of my mind, obviously making it cohesive and professional as well. But it kind of came naturally. I started out with the types that I felt like I would struggle with the most, which were 5, 6, and 7. But I think actually, yeah, those were the hardest for me to write. And type 2, they were all very hard for me, because those are the types that I have the hardest time relating with as well, just as me. So I did a lot of like, I need poll answers for those kind of types, but the other types, it was relatively easy for me, especially the 3 chapter and 4 chapter, which is like my type and my wing. So it was easier for me to like talk to myself of like, this is what you need to do. But yeah, it was a good combo of like casual collection of answers and just personal stories.
Oh, I love that. I love it too, because I'm always so impressed and just like intrigued by people who can take like big concepts like the Enneagram. I am still learning about, but it's like just such a huge thing. And there can be so many different variants on it, right? And on who people are and stuff like that. And so I love it when people take these like grand concepts and then split them up and write about them, teach them in like bite-sized pieces that make sense and all of those things and can fit into a book.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I can imagine that would be like hard to tackle. I'm an Enneagram 7. We have some 2s, we have 8s, we have 5s, we have like pretty much the whole spectrum of numbers in my audience, 9s that I've talked to for sure. It's been kind of this fun thing for my audience, and just like interviewing guests and stuff too, asking them, hey, what's your number? And realizing I love using the Enneagram not only to better like understand myself, but also to like help me understand like how the person I'm speaking to is like perceiving the world and stuff like that. And realizing it's so funny. I was like laughing the other day. One of my friends, my biz buddies, who's an Enneagram 5, whenever we first started connecting, I was like, I just feel like there's something off here. Like she's not laughing at my jokes, like what's going on? What's going on? And then I like realized she was an Enneagram 5. I was like, this makes sense. And I can just like give her all my love now and realize that I'm not turning her off. She's just being a 5,
For sure.
So I'd love to know just like a few of your favorite ways to use the Enneagram, or how you've personally like found the Enneagram to be the most helpful in your life.
Yeah, similarly to you, I have found it the most helpful in my relationships. It has been really helpful individually to like, I feel like the Enneagram gives language to such deep internal things that we all deal with, which has been helpful for me as a 3. I'm sure as a 7 you relate. It's hard to go in and inward and really understand our emotions and feel okay with those emotions. And so the Enneagram really gave me a language to do that for myself. But it's been amazing understanding other people. And I think that's what keeps me from burning out on it, is there's always something new to learn outside the stereotypes of each number. And I've found just it's such an amazing tool to use in the midst of conflict or misunderstanding. And it really gives I feel like it creates common ground to be like, this is how I'm wired and there's nothing wrong with that. And this is how you're wired and there's nothing wrong with that. But this is why we're clashing right now. And how can we take steps to move forward to better communicate, better connect, and also give each other the space and freedom to be our authentic selves. And I think that's been the most amazing part is, learning my husband's number, learning my parents' numbers, learning my friends and family and just coworkers. Like, I just think it's so important to know what people are like naturally and how we can best serve and love them and empower them and call them out, call them up, like all of those things. I feel like the Enneagram really gives the space to do that well.
Yeah. I feel like for people who haven't done a lot of like mental health work or like personality work, test work, stuff like that, it's hard. I mean, it's hard for normal people to remember this too. Like who have done the work, that like not everyone sees the world the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
And so just like remembering that and realizing like, oh, okay, this person is not reacting in the same way I would react because they're perceiving the world differently. It's like so helpful. And I love it so much. And exactly what you said too about the self-acceptance in a way and acceptance of others and being able to show up and show others people love for being who they are, not who you want them to be.
Yes, definitely. I feel like that's a huge thing that I feel we all struggle with that. We struggle to accept how we're wired and we struggle to accept how other people are wired. And being able to do that in a way that's not presumptuous, but in a way that is like, no, I actually really want to understand you and I'm not trying to change you. It gives that, I don't know, it's like, I feel like there's a lot more empathy that can happen because when you do see points of growth for someone or ways that they can improve, you can speak to them and in a way that is empathetic and also like, I really just want what's best for you as how you're wired. I don't want to change you. You know, I feel like, at least for me, I've experienced things where it's like, yeah, you can do better because you can also be different from how you're wired. And this is how I'm expecting you to be. So you should just be that way. And I feel like incorporating the Enneagram into relationships and staff of any organization or church or small business is so helpful to be like, I don't know, just letting people be who they are, but also letting people grow into their potential as who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I love that. And I did interview another lady on the podcast. She actually came on twice to talk about it. She walked us through the numbers and then she kind of talked about how we might be able to use Enneagram in marketing and stuff like that. And she mentioned that like, not only is it like helpful for self-acceptance and stuff like that, but also like not to let our Enneagram number kind of box us in and whatnot. And I guess I'm bringing that up because I'm about to say how I'm using my Enneagram number as like a definition of myself. But like as a 7, you know, I have a lot of energy. I get really excited easily, you know, and sometimes I feel like it's too much for people or whatever. And I do need to like reel myself in. And I realize that about myself, but also like, it's nice to be able to say, I'm an Enneagram 7. Like I'm like definitely the epitome of the enthusiast, you know, like, I'm not getting overly excited in like an ingenuine way. I'm getting excited right now because I truly am excited kind of thing. So it's nice to be able to like use that to like explain to people that I know I'm a lot sometimes, but like, that's just who I am, right? My friend, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you said that so many personality tests do try and kind of box you in of like, this is who you are and this is what your behavior is, period. And what I love about the Enneagram, it's like, this is what your tendencies are. These are your behaviors and this is why, but there are opportunities for you to become an even healthier person and really stretch yourself. And I feel like that's like the cool part about it is it boxes you in. I mean, every personality test will box you in. That's just kind of what it is. But I feel like with the Enneagram, like you said, it creates that space to be like, how can I grow? But also it's okay that I'm like this. And I feel like as a 3, like I genuinely really love purpose and impact and work. And I think that that can be hard for other people or hard for other numbers. And there are ways that I personally can grow to like better invest in my mental health, better invest in my relationships and friendships, and that work relationship life balance can always improve. But there is a sense of like, growing up, I always felt so ashamed of like wanting to make an impact and wanting to like move forward and work and take action. Whereas now it's like, that's just, I'm always going to be passionate about actually making an impact in some way. And it's okay if you're not. Like, I think it's really cool that you're not, because that'll help me grow and balance me out. And hopefully my passion can also help balance you out and impact you in a way. So I feel like I love that whole like, man, there can be some ways that I can grow, but also I can grow as who I am. Like that line, as we've been talking about, of like growing as who we are versus changing who we are, can be so like gray. It's such a gray area sometimes. And I feel like, the Enneagram allows us to really make it a little more black and white.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I love that. It's like, it's also kind of like letting go of some shame. Like, for example, as a 7, you know, I avoid bad feelings at all costs. It's like my natural tendency. And so this year with COVID and whatnot and all the other things going on in life, it was really difficult. But like, it was nice that I stepped into the Enneagram and understood that about myself. And I could let go of like this shame of like avoiding things. Like, it's not like, that's just kind of how my tendencies, that's how I am. Like, I don't need to be ashamed of it, but also like I can address it, you know, and I can
that's good.
lean into the hard feeling.
Yeah. I admire sevens so much when just in general, I admire sevens and their enthusiasm. I think it's similar to a 3, but also very different because you can just be enthusiastic about anything without this thought of like, how can I make a strong impact and purpose and work to make it happen. It's just like general enthusiasm for life and everything. And it's so helpful for all of us who are not naturally like that. But I feel like too, when sevens lean into those harder emotions, I just feel like they become so much more powerful, like being enthusiastic for life despite this feeling that I have addressed, you know, it creates such a amazing power and well-roundedness. And that happens for any number, no matter what their tendency is or whether they lean into hard emotions naturally or they don't. And that's what's really cool is we're able to become like whole individuals, not just I lean one way or the other way. It's like learning to, I'm always going to be natural in this way, but how can I nurture this part as much as I can?
Yeah. Well, and like, you know, going through your mental health journey and whatnot, I'm sure you'd agree with me that like, I think that the first step to any change is awareness, right? And like that's what the Enneagram really helps you to do is like being aware of like your tendencies and those things that you tend to not do.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like realize like, okay, what do I want? How do I want to react in this situation, right? Do I want to lean into my tendencies or do I want to, you know, do the work harder or like not work harder, but you know what I'm trying to say? Lean into the tough things for my sevenness.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Oh, lady, I have absolutely loved chatting with you. I'd love to know, you know, you're stepping into this role of like the new entrepreneur, kind of plopped into your lap a little bit there. But if you could give like any piece of advice to new entrepreneurs out there, what's your favorite piece of advice to give people?
Man, this is hard. It's hard because I don't feel like an entrepreneur. And maybe that's a piece of advice is like, you may never feel like an entrepreneur and you may never feel like the stereotypical mold or thing that you see people doing, whether that's small business or I don't want to call it an influencer, but like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call like content creator. I don't know how to word it without it sounding really cringy. But whatever you're pursuing, I think that the biggest thing for me in light of growth, like massive growth, and in light of figuring out what I want to create is just if you don't have the foundation of it being something you love and that you're passionate about and that you're being true to yourself in, you will burn out so fast. And even if you're not experiencing crazy massive growth, putting in the practices of, hey, let's pretend I have experienced crazy massive growth. How do I still love my friends well? How do I still take care of myself in the midst of that? And creating those habits now so that if and when that growth happens, you're prepared. And because you never know when it's going to happen. It could happen in a blink or it could happen in years. And I think that this is all just becoming a ramble, but I think just being okay with your process, being true to who you are in the midst of your process and being proactive in how you balance your work and your life and your soul care, because no matter what you end up doing, whether you become successful as an entrepreneur or small business owner or not, like you're always going to have to know how to take care of yourself and stay true to yourself and be proactive in everything in life. And so I feel like because this whole experience for me was so out of left field and organic, it's hard for me to speak to it in a strategizing way, except for the biggest things I've learned throughout this process have to do with like actual everyday life things of, like I said, taking care of your soul, taking care of your friendships, still figuring out how to create that work-life balance, remaining true to yourself and grounded. I think no matter how big or small your business is always key.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that was such a great answer. Like, I've found that the best thing you can do, I think, as like an entrepreneur is to be constantly working on that mindset part of it. Like so much of the reason, so like most of entrepreneurship, I think, is figuring out how to have a healthy mindset around it. And what I love about it is when you can work on your mindset in your business as an entrepreneur, whatever it is, it also leaks out into life too, you know, like it doesn't only just improve your business or like your role as a boss or whatever it is. It also like leaks out and spreads into all these different areas of your life. So it's like, you know, hitting 2 nails with 1 hammer or whatever.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, lady, thank you so much for joining us. I've loved chatting with you so much. Can you just share where everyone can connect with you, learn more about you, all the things? Because I know they will definitely want to do that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed our chat and our conversation, and I feel so honored that you would have me on your podcast. It means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Christina S. Wilcox. I'm trying to be more active on YouTube. That's also just Christina S. Wilcox. I have a website, Christina S. Wilcox. Basically, everything is Christina S. Wilcox. And you can find my book either through my website, Simon & Schuster, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of the places where books are sold. I don't know about Target, though, so maybe not check Target because I'm still not sure about that. But everywhere else, you most likely will be able to find the book. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Oh, thank you so much, Christina. I have so enjoyed chatting with you.
Yes, thank you so much.
My friend, how awesome was Christina? I absolutely loved chatting with her. I was a little bit nervous, if we're honest. I'm not good when it comes to people who I look up to and my idols. I get super nerdy and geeky and all those things, but she was such a trooper. She was so fun and interesting to chat with, honestly. And I fully support the message that she's spreading and the things that she's doing. So definitely head over, give her a follow at Christina S. Wilcox. She creates awesome Enneagram content, plus some other mental health stuff as well, which is so amazing. And hey, don't forget to enter our giveaway. Just head to my Instagram at FeelGoodSocial, comment on the post with Christina. You'll see all the rules on that post. The winner will be announced on Sunday, February 28th, 2021. I'm so excited to give this book away. It's such an awesome book, and I hope that you enter. I hope that you have a wonderful week, my friend, and I'll catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.